CUCM. We have our own cluster that resides in two different data centers, and we have we still support 3 generations of VCS expressways, and we're trying to get rid of that by going to. We just finished building out our latest AV cluster, which will let us get rid of at least 2 generations. In other words, we're going to get rid of our old VCS appliances, and we're going to get rid of the earliest versions of Expressway that runs on VMware. We're going to go to the latest and greatest version. We're going to register all of our devices, whether they are third-party, the third-party SIP protocol templates, and the ones that are still compatible with CUCM. So we're going to be registering all the ones that are like outdated. We'll be using like the third-party SIP protocol templates on CUCM. SX series will still be registered to CUCM. And then we are doing a combination of WebEx boards in the cloud hybrid mode with a couple of them. We still haven't decided. One of the reasons why we haven't decided to go all cloud with our codecs is because we work extensively with CTI, and anything we do, we break them. No, I'm just kidding. The real issue is if Cisco has a nasty habit of just going out and upgrading the hardware anytime there's a new firmware, and that's a problem for us from the perspective of we also work with CTI for more complex rooms where we have Crestron control systems for combining the rooms for multiple video feeds, inputs, outputs, and things like that. NVX, Crestron NVX, and so forth. So that kind of limits us to from moving things into the cloud. Because if we move into the cloud and Cisco decides, okay, we're going to drop the latest upgrade on your codec, there's a good chance that it breaks the programming for the Crestron side of things, and I can't have that, not with 400 plus rooms. So this is why we have kind of like the legacy infrastructure that we have, and it's convoluted.
Okay, so thanks for no, that's really helpful with the context in here, and I just wanted to shed some light here for some of the another end user clients that we're working with CTI. The end user is Qualwell Health. Depending on the Cisco WebEx endpoints they are leveraging, they were actually, if I can share, probably 2 pages in here just for referencing. They're actually also using a very complex divisible setup with 7, 8, 9 cameras with the Temberg cameras, whereas there's no way that you can leveraging interoperabilities from like a Cisco WebEx to Microsoft Teams, Zoom, and whatever. But their devices has been coming to its end of life for like 7, 8 years, so they entirely replaced them to Microsoft Teams. However, they also have some of the Cisco EQ room kits or like a Cisco room bars, where it allows you to either, first of all, you can be leveraging interoperability through PASIP, or you'll be able to leveraging Microsoft Teams guest joint features for leveraging Microsoft Teams rooms in generals. So eventually, Qualwell leveraging 3 options. If it is a Temberg system or like a codec system, they entirely replaced into Microsoft Teams. When it comes to Cisco room bars, or like the room bar and the room bar pros, or versus the EQ room kits, they are leveraging the dual system that Cisco was launching by using the Cisco WebEx and Teams with the interoperability features in the as the transition time periods. However, their end goal is to move everything to Microsoft Teams eventually. They have about 939 rooms, but their replacement for this year is only 180 rooms. So they have to endure a life of at least 5 to 6 years of having Cisco WebEx and Teams in the same time, while slowly transitioning to a fully Microsoft Teams experience at the end of the day. So far, they don't have any issue with the codec system out there. Here are just some of the images that tells the system that they're leveraging from us. And without further ado, maybe that kind of partially answer the questions on how Cisco will be able to transition to Microsoft Teams. We would eventually possibly would need your help in understanding what skewed numbers, just some rough ideas of what you're leveraging. So on the back end, we can work with CTI on recommendation on, hey, this is not possible, like on those setups. Whereas there are some setup that set a sort of an interoperability. From our end here, as a Yale Microsoft Teams Room certified devices, we support wired BYOD as well as gas joint features for joining any WebEx call while in between. So, but still, I don't want it to get like put a full stop sentences and say, hey, it is fully compatible. We would have to understand the environments a little bit more by understand some of the roadmaps Cisco was launching versus our compatibilities to give you a full scale of ideas of how much in depth that you can jump into a Microsoft Teams Room native environments while still leveraging probably SIP, the SIP protocols or the Cisco WebEx endpoints still in between. I know this is tough, especially for like anything moving to cloud can be a pain. And I'm pretty sure Cisco doesn't like the idea of you guys moving over to a cloud.
Well, I know they actually want us to move to a cloud. We just can't do it.
Yeah.
The other thing I should point out is that we have implemented CVI so that our Cisco environment can join Teams meetings. And you also made a reference that I thought was interesting, but I'll just kind of comment on that as well. Is I totally understand the example you gave me, and I think we're kind of worse off than the example you gave me. In other words, they're targeting 180 some rooms in this year's budget. I tried targeting 51 rooms as part of my yearly budget. I got 2 rooms, and that's fairly consistent as far as upgrading goes. So that kind of tells you kind of like the situation we're in. Jefferson is is basically in an austerity mode. They're not spending a lot of money on existing rooms. They'll spend money on new rooms. And so this is really going to be addressing, like I said, we're going to be addressing anything that moving forward, we're just going to have to be sitting in the middle and as compatible with all the different directions that we have right now. So hopefully that helps.
100%. And I should be providing some context for the 180 rooms. It took us 2.5 years before they start rolling out the 120 rooms. It started with 1, and then it took about 1.5 years before anything moved on. So we understand how hard it is to start considering old rooms, new rooms, and in combination, because as a large organizations, you have to consider multiple factors, especially there's parties where they're leveraging, because Corewell Health in Michigan, there actually consist of 3 parties. They do like acquisitions where the eastern part was using Questrons, western part was using Cisco WebEx, and then the central part is leveraging Zoom. And then they're merging all together with the 3 platforms, decided to go with Teams. And it took about 2.5 years before they say, let's go Teams Cloud entirely, no matter old rooms and new, let's try this out. And they actually removed all Crestron system and the Cisco endpoints previously. It took about 2.5 years. I just wanted to make sure that we are super patient on what we can do, but I just wanted to be fully transparent. In the meantime, if we were to providing any proof of concept, Yealink will be 100% transparent on what we are capable of. We don't want it to misdeliver anything that we wouldn't be able to do it. But without further ado, I probably wanted to spend 10, 15 minutes, 5 minutes, let's say maximum, on who we are, what we do here. And then Sean is in our Texas Dallas Experience Center. He's going to show some of the technologies that might make more sense. And then we can dive back to the conversation of leveraging Cisco WebEx and Teams, and maybe start off with the proof of concept and see if that makes sense in a real life example. Does this sound like a plan for the rest of the meeting?
Yes, absolutely.
Perfect. So I'm going to share just the couple of slides. Usually it can be boring for the first 5 because it's just company introduction, but I thought it's very important to understand who is Yealink still. So we are not nobody. We have been in North America for about 20 something years, since 2005. Like we founded in 2001, but we are not in North America until 2005. And it started off with the IP phone SIP company, right? Like SIP protocols, SIP 3.23 kind of styles. When we stepped into the Microsoft Teams category, it was not happening until 2015. We become a Microsoft Teams and Zoom partners. And moving forward, we are went into IPOs in 2017, become a publicly available companies. And then we are collaborating with Microsoft entirely for their ecosystem, from headsets, and video conferencing. The one company that we're referencing was Corewell. They were eventually looking for a mixture of multiple endpoints among us video collaborations, Microsoft Teams certified headsets, and everything like that. Quickly, first in here, we have our own. We've been around for about 20 years, and we have our own factories and headquarters. Everything is manufactured here at the Yearling headquarters. We don't outsource the manufacturing parts to any third parties, so that's why we become very agile when it comes to managing our supply chains. But also, it is very important to recognize the fact that we diversify our localizations across multiple countries. We have about 6 customer experience center around the globe, that including Singapore, Dallas Experience Centers, UK, Germany, Munich, and also in France. We also just recently launched our first New York Experience Center in about 2 weeks ago. So we are really care about localization and how we supporting the real-time services in here. And like I said, we have our own R&D teams, we have our own factories, and we diversify the factories not only here in the headquarters, but also all the way to Mexico and Vietnam. So especially with the current tariff issue going around the world, that we are minimizing the risk of putting the burdens of price increase to our partners and the channels, making sure that we're still stabilizing the price in that form factors.
So are you manufacturing in the U.S. at all then, or no?
Currently not in the U.S. We are manufacturing in China, Vietnam, and Mexico. So in the three major countries. So that gives us diversified, spreading out risk of getting tariff threats at the end of the day. Whereas it does well. If everybody get charged, everybody get charged. Right now, we're in the evaluation of U.S. Manufacturing, but it goes a long way to make this happen. Still, our manufacturing part, it's going to be diversified across the world, just making sure that we can minimize the way how do we manufacture products eventually. We have a dual headquarters. One is in Xiamen here in China, but also another one in Singapore. So we have a dual independent headquarters companies for the 2 locations, just making sure that the security part, it's a rest assured. If you are diving into a Microsoft Teams categories, let's say for example, basically Teams is monitoring all of the cloud services. But if you're leveraging any of the device management platform from Yearling, our server is based out there in Virginia, US. So no data that is coming out from the United States at the end of the day. Does that help with the question?
Sure. I mean, I understand. I mean, everything's in turmoil with the tariffs and everything. So I didn't know how much of a potential increase we would be seeing over prices here.
Yeah. So as far as we concerned, for now, we are not announcing much of the price increase, somewhere between 10 to 20. But because of political issue was going on from here and there last week, a lot of IT product getting exempted from the tariff issues, and now we have to pull them back in response to that. So at the end of the day, we will want it to minimize the way that we are putting all the eggs into one basket by manufacturing in one spot. Now it has been diversified to multiple locations, but we'll keep you guys posted once we get to the point of quoting and stuff like that. So for example, Corewell, we give them price protection. If we understand that this is a long way to go and then committed to 180 room this year, we can just flip back and say, hey, now there's a 20% increase out of a sudden. So that would be something to be discussed later on.
Okay.
So we collaborate with more than 110 partners: Microsoft Teams, Zoom, 3CX, and Avayas, and all these names out there. But giving one of the telecom giants that you can see underneath here, Verizon has been our biggest clients ever, that they are leveraging our IP phone technology. So any Verizon store that you're stepping into in store, their handsets, it's a Yearling versions ones. But I wanted to give a quick highlights on some of the end user. I can give you pages of end users that is currently adopting Microsoft Teams Room from for Yealink, but I wanted to specifically highlight our collaboration with CTI, especially in the healthcare industry, including Corewell Health in Michigan. They have been at giant groups in Michigan for the 900 rooms that I was referring earlier, but also Methodist Labonjas in Memphis, in their Memphis location. We're helping them with some CTI Microsoft Teams rooms, as well in Nashville. LifePoint Health is currently leveraging standardized Microsoft Teams room on Yealink specifically as some referencing. I can dive into each one of them if you need more information, but the biggest and the most current one is Corewell Health. It's a very similar application. It's a merger and acquisition happening between the three parties, and they're leveraging multiple platforms between Cisco, Zoom, and even Microsoft Teams. And now they're having some troubles connecting the three dots together, and previously leveraging multiple different vendors from all the way from this Cisco with Tenberg, Questron, UC Engine, and all that kind of stuff. Quickly, just one slide in here on in terms of what we do. We are a full stop of Microsoft Teams certified device providers, solution providers, all the way from Microsoft Teams rooms on Windows or on Androids, right? We have all of the integrated solutions like the video bars, interactive whiteboards. The CTI team provided us some context of you guys considering some of the say the Microsoft Surface Hubs. The Meeting Board 6586, as well as the new Pro versions, also support native Teams experience in that regards at a third of the price. But then behind the Dallas Experience Center, behind Sean, he's actually having a live example out there to give you guys some demonstrations. We also do have some of the very agile, flexible, modular solution like the Teams run on Windows, all the way from Video Bar to a very signature multiple camera solution, MVC S90 on the right corners up there. This solution support up to 9 cameras. Specifically for a large divisible setup, you might want it to have all the way up to 4 or 5 divisible rooms or combines. This is where Corewell Health has been adopting most of the solutions for the MVC S90 in that regards. We also do manufacture our own pro audio solutions, like the Dante supported microphones, CM50, AP08 as our own DSP, and then we have the Dante mics that support sound amplifiers, voice lift features that Sean will be able to give a demonstration in a second as well. We also do have an ecosystem for room accessory, like the scheduling panels. Carly mentioned about Logitech tabs, probably for the control system on the table, but their tab can be leveraging from room schedulers. We kind of divide it into 2 parts. We have on meeting control panels that is differentiated from the scheduling panels that you can leveraging from humidity, temperatures detects, but also for occupancy sensors, right? So understanding there's ghost meeting happenings. You wanted to make sure that you set up a time where ghost meeting is lifted for the next availabilities to reserve the rooms. Corewell Health has been adopting 120 room panels in the sensors just to make sure that they can opt in into ad hoc meetings when there's a ghost meeting that was previously reserved by someone through Office 365. But eventually, we also have a line underneath Teams rooms, Teams phones, and hence headsets, just in case. In general, there might be some demands on that. We do provide a whole ecosystem in that regards as well. But I know there's so much to digest. Before we wanted to give a highlights on probably just 3 products here today, which is called in the first column the MVC S40 Plus, the video bars with the M-Tower 360 camera, as well as in the second column, the Meeting Board 65 or the 86-inch as the integrated solutions. We also would like to give you some understanding of in the column 1, the multiple camera solutions, so that you have understanding of what we are capable of for some complex solution room design, like the visible setup, and as well as some of the mic and speakers. Before that, do you have any questions specifically you'd like to know? Any concerns? Any questions at all for this slide here?
I would just ask that, or I guess the question is, so if you're at 100% Teams room compatible, right? Are we still able to do like point-to-point calls, Cisco, WebEx, Zoom? You still able to do all that when you're 100% Teams compatible?
specifically for the Microsoft Teams Room on Windows, now it is support natively for guest join feature for WebEx Cisco and as well as for Zoom call, like guest join. However, with our system, it also support in additions with our own BYOD built-in solution, allowing you to organize bring your own meetings. Still, you have to leveraging the laptop to launching a specific WebEx call and a Google Meets and stuff like that, and leveraging the peripherals to drive that meeting specifically. We'll give you an understanding of how do you run BYOD specifically on either the CTP25 or the MVC BYOD extender, which is the little box that we are enabling that BYOD features. But in short, if you wanted to have something that is natively support, it is the Microsoft features called guest joins. Specifically that you can join a specific WebEx meeting in Zoom that you created from another endpoints. If you wanted to launch a Cisco WebEx meetings or a Zoom meetings, you would have to leveraging the BYOD features in order to launch that meeting. Natively, it does not support 3 simultaneously. None of the interoperabilities features that currently support 3 dialings features at the moment, unless if you're leveraging something like a Lightware in between to leveraging the 3 platform at the same time. However, you will lose some of the functionalities and the features that Microsoft Teams Room Pro that it brings into the table. Sorry, I know it's a long answer, but hopefully that gives you some ideas of what everything is capable of. So eventually, if you wanted to join a call, you can do it natively. But if you want to create a Zoom call and WebEx call, you would have to leveraging additional accessory to launch that via the laptops.
Let's see.
Yep. So without further ado, I'd like to pass it over. I have some slides to share, but like I said, nobody is going to listen after the 6th and the 7th slide. So I thought something that is live and functional makes a little bit more sense. So I'll pass it over to Sean at our Dallas Experience Center. Maybe Sean, when you thought everything is ready, you can start off maybe with the meeting board with the UVC86, multicam, CM50, or the Smart Vision 40. Anything that is close to you, you feel like you are ready to go for it.
Yeah, of course. So we can start from this meeting board real quick at Spotlight. Right, so it's a basic version, but we're releasing the pro version real quick. So the basic version, we have 2 different sizes, 86-inch and also 65-inch. The pro version will have one more size, which is 75-inch. So it's an Android-based all-in-one Teams Room system. You can see the built-in camera, speaker, and also the mic. It's like a touchable display, can run a Teams whiteboard feature as well. The camera-wise, this comes with a built-in camera right here with an electrical shutter. And you can also add an external PTZ tracking camera. You can either do it 6 times or 12 times. So it only works when you start a meeting like that, so you can see the lens when you start a meeting or when you end the meeting. So you cannot see the lens at all with this electrical lens cap, right? And you can also leverage the Teams whiteboard functionality. And I will give you a close-up camera view on this 86-inch, for example, right here. Right. So this basic version comes with the wall mount kit as well. You can make it fixed on the wall, no problem. It's included. You can also make it flexible, portable by adding this floor stand. We have 2 different versions, with or without a tray. And it also comes with 4 pens by default. And we are the only one vendor can do multi-touch on the Teams whiteboard functionality. Like we can do multiple writers writing at the same time with multi-touch. We can support up to 3 multi-touch for maximum. And you can also do 2 finger zoom in and zoom out. 1 finger you can drag. You can also do the other side of the pen as an eraser like this. So we have the full Teams functionality compatibility. For example, you can also turn on the enhanced ink shapes, right? So when you draw some shape, with that feature on, it will be automatic, just like this. Or the laser pen functionality, highlighter, right? Or all the Teams templates, different categories you can add on, like this, right? So you can either do local whiteboarding or online. You can click start the meeting right here and invite the foreign participants into this whiteboard plus a Teams meeting, right? And when joining the Teams meeting right here, by adding a whiteboard, then they can just collaborate at the same time. And you can just click here, end the meeting. Now that whiteboard file will be immediately saved on the OneDrive. So it's more like a Teams cloud-based whiteboard functionality. And you can see the calendar right here is standard Teams UI. Our meeting right here, you can click to join, just right here. Let me mute my mic real quick and add this device into our meeting. All right, just like that, click one button, you can join the Teams meeting pretty smoothly, just like that. And now I'm using this board to join the meeting. And let me do the auto framing mode for the camera first. So this demo room right here I'm in is currently about 26 feet by 26 feet. Right, so first is the audio experience. When I keep moving, like up to 26 feet away, right? When I keep talking to 26 feet away, I assume you can feel the audio quality when I'm standing 26 feet away. And when I make some noises like this, clapping, right? So this built-in microphone can also support the noise cancellation right here, right? Or even I can switch like a bottle can. Right, hopefully you don't hear nothing, but just me talking here. Yes, sir. You know, for some long room or some larger rooms, you can either add external camera to track a longer distance, or on the audio wise, you can also add some wireless mic pod if you prefer to extend the voice picker range. It's pure wireless. We can support up to 2 at a time. It works together with the built-in microphone on the board. So there's also a mute button, right? You can just mute from here. So super handy, flexible, right? You can mute one and mute the whole system just from the desk, right? And you can also feel the quality from this mic pod when I knock it, right? Hopefully you don't hear it when I knock it right here. Yeah, and it also comes with a wireless charge station like this as well, right? And
How long is how long is a wireless charge good for?
Sorry, what's the question again?
How long does the battery last on the wireless charge?
Oh yeah. So it takes about 75 minutes to get it fully charged, and the continuous duration, like talking time, we can support 13 to 14 hours, and the standby time is 7 to 8 days.
Okay.
Yeah, and the voice pickup range is 20 feet per radius per mic pod.
We have a lot of people that tend not to put things back. Mike is one of them.
All right, and the next one would be the camera tracking, right? So now it's on the auto framing mode. When I move a little bit, it can just follow me to put my face in the middle of the frame. And I have a couple of cutboards, so I can fake some like participants in the room, right? And 2 more participants, for example, right? So it can show the group framing as well, right? As the auto framing functionality. And the built-in microphone can also support the speaker tracking as well. So I can show a picture-in-picture mode in the speaker tracking plus the auto framing at the same time. So when I keep talking here, the tracking lens will track me. And you can also see there's a room view at the corner right here, show the auto framing as the room view. Right, it can show like one active speaker all the time. You have the other speaker talking maybe from this spot, so the camera can track him upward. So always on one active speaker. If you want to show some like one active speaker plus multiple listeners, so you can utilize these 2 lenses at the same time. So let me hold like 2 more cardboards like this, right? I will just keep talking, and the tracking lens will track me, and you can also see the couple listeners on the side. Right, we can show this kind of multi-focus mode as well. It's designed for some small meetings, like within 6 participants. We can show like 1+5 layout. Right. Okay. Yeah, some other accessories you can add on, like the wireless presentation pod or the wireless BYOD. We also support the wired BYOD and wired content sharing. You can also add a remote control, right, to join the meeting or the touch panel. So all those accessories you can add on. Yeah. So if you prefer the ceiling microphone, ceiling speakers, not a problem. You can add a PoE plus switch, and we can support up to 4+4 from Yealink. CM20 and CS10.
So, Wes, one of the things that I would ask is, do you support? So first of all, we would not support putting in a switch other than our standard switch, right? So, because otherwise, then the product wouldn't be allowed on our network. Do you work with other switches other than your own?
Yeah, of course. We can do like Netgear or a third party. So all of the managed PoE plus switch, you can turn on the triple E protocol is our friend.
Okay. Yeah, for example, in our racks and things like that for our AV equipment, they don't. We did use Netgear at one point and D-Link and some others, but Network has really stated that we can only use Cisco and it has to be managed by them.
Honestly, that should not be a problem.
Okay.
All right, yeah, so that would be all for the meeting board product. And I can also show you a little bit on our PTZ tracking camera UVC86 and also multi-camera system.
So that board that you were just demoing though has 2 cameras on it, correct?
Okay,
Yeah,
so now audio.
by default, it only gives you a built-in cameras, and then the top PTZ camera is a additional camera that you can add on depending on the size of the rooms. If it is somewhere between 4 to 6 seats, then the built-in one will work, but only until you kind of enlarge it for a specific size, then you wanted to consider the PTZ camera on the top. The two will work together. The built-in mic with the two coming together. The built-in one work for the AI features, and the PTZ is for the larger the depth captures for the longer rooms. But to your question, the PTZ is optional.
Okay.
All right, so now just join back to this system again. I'm utilizing up to 6 camera, but just one of them currently, and also my 2 CM20 and 2 CS10. You can feel the audio pickup quality when I move from this mic pod to that, the ceiling mic to that ceiling mic, right? When I keep talking, you can feel the mic pickup, right? Pretty balanced when I keep talking here, right? And the camera wise, it's a 4K 12 times optical camera. I can move to 26 feet away to the side chart. You can feel the camera quality as well, right? So this camera, besides the auto framing, speaker tracking, picture-in-picture, multi-focus framing, the really unique functionality is you can utilize this camera to some training room setup. When I raise my fist as a presenter, I can stop the camera. I can raise my hand to trigger that camera. It's like pure gesture based. Right, if you have a presenter, can just use a gesture to stop, to start the camera, pretty flexible, right? Just like that. Besides the gesture, we actually have like 4 different tracking configuration with the presenter tracking scenario. So you can also do the area based for the presenter tracking as well. So with this camera in my room, right, I just configured a zone on my right side of the couch when I step into the zone, right? So I don't have to raise a hand to the camera. It's the same recipe here. And you probably can see my first camera show my full body, so I configure my zoom out a little bit. For the second camera, I configure my upper body as a priority zone. So wherever I move, this camera will always track my upper body as a presenter. So it's configurable. You can either do the facial or half body or full body to define that presenter, right? Raise the fist, you can stop the camera whenever you stop your presentation. And on this camera, it's designed for like larger scenario. You have a stage, right, or auditorium setup. I can figure my whiteboard area as a stage. If you have a host speaker, look on the stage area, it will just track that person, as a presenter. And when you leave this stage area, then this camera will just automatically go back like within 3 seconds, right? Until you have the next one walk onto the stage again and be the next presenter, right? So we have multiple configurations, right, for the presenter tracking scenario.
How many microphones in that system you're currently using?
2 mic.
2 mics in the ceiling,
yeah.
or
In the ceiling.
Okay, that sounds pretty good. I didn't notice any cutoff as you were moving away.
Thanks.
Mike,
Yeah, I just have. Yeah, I just have those two CM20 right here to cover this space, 26 by 26. My ceiling tall is about 10 feet, right? So if you have a 10 feet tall ceiling, this CM20 can support 15 feet per radius, like high quality voice pickup range per radius. Yeah, and next one can show you is our touch panel interface right here. I'm using a remote control tool, the Type VNC, to control this touch panel. You can also see my TV1 and TV2 here, right? So we're a full team certified solution. So you can click 3-dot icon and also room controls. Then you can enter this Yealink plugin software. Control all the camera right here with the functionality, right? AI tracking, auto framing, and all those tracking modes. So the highlight for this camera is you can also turn off the tracking. You can do the manual, control, or you can also save up to 9 presets right here. And you can also rename each one of them from here, right? So even during a Teams meeting, you can switch those camera presets pretty easily from this page.
Can you preview the camera, or is that just, can you real-time preview the camera on that board there?
Before the meeting, you can actually do that, but during the meeting, you can just do the manual switch, or you can also, switch those pre-configurations here.
Okay. So that's all. So the camera control is mouse clicks, right?
No, it's just on the touch panel there. So
right. Yeah. So if you're hitting the touch panel, is it get to tap it? Can you get to it remotely or anything like that?
Yeah, I'm actually using a remote control on here. You can just do a third-party remote control app. You can also utilize our YMCS, which is our cloud-based remote control tool.
All right. So then, if you're in remote control here and you're using the cursor, is the mouse motion based on clicks then, or can you? How does that work?
Yeah, for the remote control, it's based on the click. Right?
Okay. So that's going to be kind of like less smoother than if you were on the touch panel?
It will be a little bit laggy if you do the mouse. Yeah.
Right. And when you're using it through the mouse, there's no way to kind of preview the view before you actually see it on screen.
No, you can actually do that as well. So off the meeting, you can also use the mouse to configure everything on the touch panel.
But during the meeting, like I see you have all these presets, right? There's no way to kind of fine tune that preset before you're actually going to it while in a meeting.
While during a meeting right here, right? So now it's on my one of the camera right here. So I can also switch the camera to here, right? So if I want to turn my side camera, apply that, right? And I can also switch those different presets during a meeting, just like that, right? When I switch those presets, I can switch those presets.
Okay.
Yeah, even during a Teams meeting here. Right.
Just can't preview it. Okay.
Right. Yeah, and the multi-camera system, so you can do like the group layout functionality right here. What I did is just switch those group layout from camera to cam, from fit functionality to functionality, right? I also have like a 6 camera as the one pre-configurations here. Now I just turn on all my 6 camera, and one of the camera is on the gesture-based presenter tracking. So you can also save like multi-camera as like one pre-configurations in the group layout. Right there. You can also do like one camera as your main camera, and the side camera, like this kind of 1 plus up to 8 main camera plus side camera view. And some other integrations, like the mic control, you can mute the mic separately. I have 2 microphones in this 26 by 26 space. I can control one more cam. It's like divisible room setup from here. Right. So actually, I combine 2 spaces in one system. Right. I have 4 cameras in my main room and 2 cameras in the entrance area and 1 mic from here. So you can just press one button to merge those 2 systems from one touch panel by pressing one button. right? Or can separate them pretty easily from the touch panel here. And we also support like third-party control vendors like Crestron, Kramer. So all those team certified vendors, we can run that HTML5 on the Yearling touch panel here. You can customize your input, output, or shading, lighting, all those API control from that vendor there, right? Again, Max, Actron, no problem. All right. Yeah, I think we have like 1 more minute left. I think Jack or Tyler, you can wrap it up real quick.
Yes. For me, I'm trying to understand your needs better. So if I just trying to present to say what I have recorded, correct me if I'm saying wrong. So currently you are use the SX10 and X1080 and RoomKit EQ in the system for the Cisco platform, right?
Yeah, we run the gamut. I mean, those are just some examples. I mean, we have the WebEx Pros, we have the WebEx boards, we have the WebEx desktops. We have every major version of Cisco product. All right. So, I mean, to put it in a nutshell, we have every generation all the way back to the Tandberg that we're still running. So,
Okay.
that kind of gives you kind of like the breadth of the products that we're still using.
Okay. So in the future, when we use the BYOD or the Teams guest mode, is they work for you for your usage?
You mean the Cisco devices?
Yeah. So when I use the system Cisco's.
So right now, I mean, we are just starting to. So previously we were all WebEx based, right?
Mm-hmm.
As of 3 months ago, the direction has gone to Teams.
Mm-hmm.
So I have to make both worlds meet up in the middle somewhere. We're doing that temporarily right now through CVI. And we're looking at several options with Jefferson to join their WebEx Control Hub for one. And my understanding from talking to Cisco is that there's a possibility of doing like a hybrid setup where we register in the Control Hub certain devices that are compatible while still maintaining registration in CUCM, so that we can still control any downloads that might happen, for example. So those are some of the things that we're still working some details out, because as I said, none of this stuff is going to go away anytime soon. Maybe 5 years down the road, we'll have the capability to have everything replaced, but we still got 5 years where we have to be in a bridged mode.
Mm-hmm.
At least 5 years. And I think longer, to be honest with you, but that's what I think.
Okay. So the mainstream, so in the coming year or coming 2 years, the Teams will be a main platform you're using, but you would like to keep the with Cisco and the Zooms at the same time, right?
Yes, we have to be interoperable for some time to come. And so, I mean, any new devices that we put in, the direction is that they'll be 100% Teams compatible, but also able to communicate with the rest of our devices. So I don't know if they'll be in 100% Teams mode per se, but the underlying platform will be Microsoft Teams as the direction we want to go in. But until the touch point that we can convert everything, we're always going to be kind of living in a bridged environment.
Mm-hmm. Got you. So currently,
Sorry, Carl,
oh,
sorry, just a quick question here. So the direction can change. Like, we don't know what's coming up tomorrow, but Teams is currently primarily the platform that you are leveraging, but you are at the mode of leveraging multiple interoperabilities for the next 5 years. So in my understanding right now, for the Yearling solutions, in order to enable that interoperabilities, The only two options across all of the vendor is to leveraging Microsoft Teams on Windows with the guest joint features. And like I mentioned earlier, with that BYOD setup at the moment, there's still not yet a solution that support natively Microsoft Teams and natively Cisco WebEx. But you mentioned about CVI as the current way in the transition, or probably leveraging PAPSIP by paying the licenses to enjoying the two platform at the same time. But currently, guest joint and bring your own meetings, or BYOD, would be the best way to entertain with the Cisco endpoints. But I wouldn't. It's a lot better to visualize it than yourself having a hands-on experience of leveraging that guest joint features and bring your own devices to see if those are really intuitive for the end users. Our BYOD setup is very intuitive, right? So it's just one cable, plug it in, launch that Zoom meeting and WebEx on the laptops, and then everything's just still navigated through the touch panels that Sean was presented earlier. So I wasn't sure if this is something that you would like to try at least to understand some team certified e-link solutions. In the meantime, working on like a third-party mode with WebEx. But I wanted to set the right expectation right now here that there's no a certain way to just one touch to join or initiate a WebEx meeting and Teams meeting at the same time. When you are primarily leveraging a Microsoft Teams Room solutions, you can only guest join a calendar that was created earlier by the Cisco endpoints. You wouldn't be able to create a WebEx meeting via a Teams native endpoint, at least at the moment. That's the battle between the platform Teams and Cisco.
We don't plan. So I think what's going to happen there is we're not creating meetings from the devices. Okay. What's going to happen is the meetings that will have been previously set up by, if it's on the Jefferson side, it's going to be a Teams meeting. If it's on the legacy LVHN side, depending on what it's for, they're supposed to default to Teams as well, but there's certain groups out there, because they're still using Jabber and things like that. They might still create a WebEx webinar, for example. So that's the kind of environment that we have to, we know that with Teams, we can do CVI. CVI lets us join a Cisco WebEx meeting, or vice versa, a Cisco device joining a Teams meeting. So we have that compatibility. And then secondly, the calendaring piece, or we're looking to do the one button to push. Cisco has an integration for their devices, and Microsoft has an integration for their devices, or for their Teams room setups. We're looking to see how that might work together. I don't know yet.
Yeah. So if it is possible, like there's two recommendations here. Like first of all, if you'll be able to let us go back to do some secondary research in terms of what Cisco endpoints will be support natively to the two platforms, and what Cisco. I'm pretty sure that the Timber is not going to work. Because they're a hot codec that was leveraging legacy system that needs to be, if there's any chance that you're leveraging Teams, that needs to be replaced. That's my, at least from my knowledge. But when it comes to the EQ, the rootkit, that as I mentioned earlier, there's ways of leveraging interoperability at the same time. Let us circle back with some secondary research and providing some recommendation of what kind of scenario with what certain system that will work in that entertain with the Teams environment. But coming back to the topic at E-Link, at the same time, I wasn't sure any system that we are previously presenting was enlightening in terms of application that you might want to have hands-on experience, play around, have rooms to test it for free to kind of figure out what that looks like.
Yeah, I think I forget the exact model number. Was it MVC 80?
That's 90, the multi-camera.
Oh, I think it's one step down from that there. I don't know if we want to look at a multi-camera yet, but I forget. Can you bring up that slide again?
Okay, one sec. Yep, give me one sec.
Yeah, the 40 plus, or the Mike, what do you think? The 40 plus or the MVC 860? One of those two. I think
that has been the hero SKUs, by the way. That's been like the best possible system you can ever imagine from Yealink. This one here.
Yeah. So what is that? That camera based on a wireless camera sitting in the middle of a table or something like that? Or I don't know what that camera is. That tall cone device on the far right of that picture.
Right. So that coming to, let me see if I have a better slides that I can present it in here. Just 1 second. So eventually, this is more of a multi-angle solution. It gives you a front of the room's experience, but at the same time, a center of a room second shot. So let me just bring up one slide here. So ideally, this consists of two parts. It's a dual eye cameras that gives you 120-degree field of view as the front of the room video bars. However, the second piece that we were presenting out there is the center of the cameras that provides a second spot views in the center of the tables. So sometimes when you are having a conversation facing up front, you only part of the face is being recognized, but sometimes you want to twist it around, having conversation face to face with the opposite side of the participants. The camera will be able to shift between the best angle, like when you are facing up front to the in-room audiences, or you kind of twist it around facing up front to the TV. It will switch between the back and forth, making sure that it has the face, like a front face-to-face interaction views by switching the two all together. The center camera is an add-on and it is optional. It basically provides a second view for when it is needed. But ideally, the video bar should give you a very great experience on the solutions like that, right? So when you have like a face-to-face conversation, it will be picking up by the 360 cam. But when you're facing up front to like a display, it will be picking up by the video soundbar in there. And it gives you a specific AI features called IntelliFocus for enabled by Microsoft. They have a specific multi-tenant features, whereas everybody's name tag will be able to be displayed by the full split view in here. So then you understand who says what in the meeting room. So it always presents you the four current speakers with the 120-degree field of view underneath. So eventually, hopefully that kind of sort of verbally visualize the way how this device work as a standalone bar. The 360 basically just give you the additional angles when you kind of move around during the meetings, and always present that front of the face experience.
Gotcha.
Pretty cool.
So
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
I'm thinking that
Sorry.
that either that model or the next one up there, the MVC 860, right?
the PTZ camera as well.
Yes. That's what we're thinking. I mean, I don't know, Mike Perry, Andrew Quinn. What were your thoughts?
I think that's a good starting point. I agree. I think the MVC S90 right now, for the purposes of just demoing it internally, rolling up your sleeves, getting acclimated with the technology, I think that may be a little overkill for right now. I think eventually you'll have to evaluate it, right? Because you do have divisible spaces. But I think between the S40 and the 860, that would definitely fit 80% of your rooms right now.
Yeah.
Mike, do you agree with that?
I do.
And also and this is one part that I haven't really been super clear on. Will both of those devices do SIP calls?
I will pass it to Jack. Are we supporting SIP protocols at the moment with the MVC? I believe we are. The SIP 323.
Call.
323.
You mean you would like to use the Teams like the operating character that comes up the function? So call
Well, I mean, call it. We could call it Cisco codec then with the, all of our Cisco codecs are all currently supporting SIP, and all currently right now are multi-platform, except the Jefferson direction has been not to continue buying Cisco. Cisco is a little, a little bit pricey, and I don't know that they'll be able to meet our price points that we want to fall under. Because in order for me to, the real gist of the story here is this: if I'm to convince Jefferson that we continue using devices like this, I have to show that, first of all, it maintains compatibility with our existing systems, but falls in line with their team's direction down the road.
Mm.
At
Okay.
a price point comparable to the Logitech, right, Carlo? I mean, that's the one thing that we've discussed, right? We need to make sure that from a price point, we're within line of what the Jefferson folks are seeing on their end.
Because otherwise they're gonna say, okay, well, for the price point, if it's not significant, they're gonna say, well, then they're going to insist that we use their Zoom room standard.
If we were, because I hear that we were talking about like a $13,000 Zoom room that was set up there, if I didn't mistaken. Until CTI shows the quote there, you'd be amazed by the cost of the devices here that we're having here. It's not even near a 5 digits. Like the multicam is the only thing that would sell more than $10,000. Like that's the only system, because you need multiple cameras. But like the MVC S40, just a ballpark is somewhere between like a 4,000 endpoint, like MSRP at the end of the day. With the center camera, obviously it adds up the cost, but eventually, if we were having something like a $13,000 as a benchmark, we are not even there. Like we're not even like far from getting there. So just FYI.
Yeah. So I mean, Andrew, we definitely would like to try this out we have to figure out if we have space for all this, Mike. But I mean, so the optical zoom on the MVC 860, you said that was, what was that? Is that 12x on that one?
This one is 12x. The reason why I'm a little hesitant, because Carl and Michael, I want you guys to try the best possible ever devices from Yeeling. Because now, if we were having time, as I having a conversation with Mike and Andrew, that we wanted to show something that is still under NDA on the roadmaps as one page. I want you guys to try the best possible Yeeling ever. This one here support 12x. First of all, to your questions, but then we are launching a new PTZ camera at Infocom, where it will be starting to be available for a big chunk of new devices, encoder, decoder, navigators, but as well that you can see there's a new camera system called Smart Vision 80. It is supporting 20 times optical lens, as well as there are 3 digital lens underneath. So that's way better PTZ camera system that it support a lot more features, especially like a multiple camera auto switching AI features. It performs way better than the current UVC86. However, you have witnesses the UVC86 performed by Sean earlier at the Experience Center. I can only say that the Smart Vision 80 is way better than the one that you're seeing there. That's why I'm a little hesitant, because we want you guys to try the best possible coming up in June.
I mean, I'm willing to do that. I mean, but the point, I will tell you that right now we use 30x optical zooms, not in our meeting rooms, but in our patient rooms we use 30x. But in our experience that we've had with these Zoom rooms, I will tell you first and foremost that our CIO, who does a lot of his meetings from his location in Philadelphia, looks like a thumbprint. That's how bad the camera is. But what I'm seeing is, some commonalities I'm starting to see is that a lot of the conference rooms are extremely long, longer than they are wide. This particular room that we've been experiencing the most meetings with is probably 26 feet long. I would hazard a guess, by about 14 feet wide, and it's like definitely longer. And when everybody sees the table, you can see the couple people in the front, but everybody in the back looks like a smudge. With our Cisco gear, we don't see that. And whatever solution we come up with is, sounds like your new product sounds pretty awesome in that respect. we want, two things. We want the audio and video to be super clear. So yeah, I'm all on board with testing, whatever you got, because we clearly need to show a superior product if we're going to convince Jefferson any other way.
Yeah, so a couple things in here, like just thinking about from an economical standpoint, I don't want it to throw us in like different sets of devices because you guys have to spend time on testing the devices. That's why I wanted to give it one shot at the best possible. But in the meantime, if we were to still trying out the MVC S40 and the MVC S60, basically you're leveraging the same compute. The same touch panels. I'll give you the larger touch panels, but you are just switching the different system between the bars and the PTZ camera through that little icons on the room controls. In terms of audios, we have something that is really good that you guys can start considering, which is the Dante mic. This microphone was the premium versions of what Sean was demonstrating earlier. He was giving you guys a demonstration on the CM20, which is the entry level of the ceiling mic. But this is more of like a Shure MX-8920, Shure Team Connect 2. But again, price point, that was probably the easiest way that I can deal with when it comes to price point perspective. We want you guys to try out and see if the quality makes sense at the very beginning, but also including some of the Dante speakers for sound amplifier. And when we talk about the visible setup, we also have our own partition sensor for automatically navigating between combined and separate rooms eventually. Coming in summaries, I would suggest us to start from the MVC S40 Plus because it's only a month and a half away from us launching new cameras. I wasn't sure if that 1 month and a half is reasonable to be waiting a little bit for the greatest and the latest coming up, or we wanted to try to both S40 and MVC A60 in the same time while just waiting for the PTZ. We can just throw in that PTZ afterwards. Just two options. I'm open to it. Because I don't want to waste your time.
I think you should probably be aware, working through our security group, we're going to have to obviously get this approved through security first to even put it on our network. That could take some time. And I've seen, to my chagrin right now, it's like I put in a PO or a request February 27th, and they still haven't even looked at it yet for a device for our patient room. So just kind of giving you a heads up as to, you might be able to get us a test device, but it might take even longer to put it on the network here, only because of our security group.
Yeah.
So
tell me, yeah. So
if I may, would it make sense, Carlo, and I'll defer to Tyler and the Yealink team on this, but would it make sense for you to go through that process of requesting that is put on the network and then send the demo? Or would it be better to have the demo in hand and wait for that time to come? I don't know, Yealink, how long your demos normally last as far as sending it to a client and having them test it in their environment. So I want to be respectful of that. And I understand that there could be a delay in when Carlo and Michael get their hands on it and then when the network team gets on it, because there's two different areas that need to be evaluated, right? First, the technology and then how it functions and operates on the network.
Yeah. And I'm just saying it's going to take us some time to get it through our security group, and I'm not sure how much we can do offline, but we can talk to Mike about that, Mike Scirocco, see what we can do in there.
Right. From my end here, Caldwell, again, as an example, it start with 75 dates, but it ends up with 340 days for the proof of concepts. We even fill out like pages long security question, tick all the boxes there, providing certification, all that kind of stuff. I'm getting used to it, though the fact that I hate it so much, but I'm getting used to the fact that we have to go through the processes. So I want to do it fast, bro. So as soon as we have a green light to go, I would like to just do it. Give us some thoughts on when you feel like it's ready to ship the devices, even though we have to wait for the security team to pass the green light. I wanted to make sure that you guys have some hands-on experience sooner or later possible.
Yeah,
a quick question
absolutely.
here, Carlo. Are there any specific paperwork that you will be anticipating that we would have to fill out once we're in line, and then we are the one to kind of
It sounds
respond.
like that 180 page you're just talking about of security paperwork. It sounds exactly. We use a Coral. Coral is the security clearinghouse, if you will. So everything gets evaluated through Coral, and so I know the process is extremely tedious, but we should get started on that right as soon as possible. So we'll pick the device that you want us to take a look at. We can take a look at the device. We have our own little ways of testing some of it out up front, and then we get the rest of it over to security ASAP to have them look at. And then do your devices do they have the same digital footprint? In other words, the digital IDs, are they so different between devices? Do you know what I'm talking about from a security standpoint? Because if it's one device, they have I forget the name of the device they use, but they take a digital footprint of the device, and based on that footprint will allow or disallow the device on the network, right? So if you're having us test multiple devices, the question is if it's all within, say, the Yealink family, but they're all similar devices, chipsets or things like that. But if they're so different that they come across as looking at different Yealink devices, then we'd have to go through the certification process for every single one of them. Does that make sense? We would try to certify Yealink as it's this one type of device, but you have a family of devices, and the question is, do they all look that different?
I think it might be. I think it might be like if it's Android versus a Windows too. Those would be two different.
Yeah, but we wouldn't go with the Androids. We will go with the Windows, because at least that way we have a foot in the door with the Windows team. But yeah, just a thought.
For Windows version, we use the MCore 4. So from the core, they would be the same. The difference is just from the camera. So for the parts, I think they would be fine. But for the chips on the core, they would be the same.
Yeah, and that's the other thing I'd be concerned about right now is whatever device they're using. I do forget. I unfortunately don't remember, but they fingerprint every device, so that's on record. And if they see a joint anywhere on the network, they have the ability to shut it down or let it go.
So do you have a
So devices as per different SKU, or different registered devices have a different digital footprints that you're referring to? So say if I have a two identical SKU here, it still creates two different digital footprints.
Well, that's why I was wondering, because say we have the MVC S40 and the MVC 860. Does that present as two different types of Yealink devices? Would the digital footprint, the digital fingerprint that they take, would that recognize as two devices or just one? That'd be my question. And then if it's recognized as one, cool. If it's recognized as two, there's more work involved. Does that make sense?
So, Tyler, go ahead.
So they use the same. They use the same compute engine, right?
Yes.
Yeah. Exactly.
Yes. So that might answer that question right there.
And is it the same? Is it the same networking chip, or is it a different networking chip?
Same one from the network chip.
And then the firmware chip, the BIOS chip, is that the same BIOS chip or a different BIOS chip?
Same one. But for the computer engine, it will be the same.
So there's a possibility that it would be recognized as one device, but we won't know that until we go through the exercise.
So I think in order to understand well, so I think if we can know the criteria to what kinds of the device will be recognized, the different one, that would be better for us to do the calculation, which kinds of other items we can prepare for that.
I wish I knew, but I can try and find out, but I don't honestly know. I mean, security doesn't advertise, preferably they want you to register every device.
Yeah.
But So my point is this, I'm trying to make it easier on myself, obviously, but if your device is recognized as just one manufacturing type, and all your gear that you let us look at falls under that manufacturing type, great. If not, if they're recognized by their system, by security's fingerprinting system as different devices, then the onus falls back on me to work with you guys to get 180 pages per device. I'm hoping that's not the case.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So
Because frankly,
first
it's
of all,
very
I don't think.
tedious.
Yeah, first of all, I don't think we have an answer right here that we have to just verify, because I don't want it to just think about it. I wanted to have a firm answer and see if devices is recognized as just the one type where it does not register like obviously it has to be like 2, 3, 4 different registered devices certified by teams. Teams treat it as different accounts. But when IT was treating them as one type of devices where you don't have to register them like multiple, like individually, that makes the perfect sense in that regards. But we would have to double check on the back end before
And
we
the
are
one way,
providing
and the one way for us to test that would be in our lab. We have a switch which is owned by the network, and we would take whatever devices we got for testing, we would plug it into the same port. And if one gets quarantined and one does not, then we know right there they've differentiated somehow on the digital fingerprint. Because I will say we've had codecs from Cisco, like we have all these Cisco codecs where for whatever reason we'll have common models just all of a sudden get quarantined because of some difference that we're not aware of. So just throwing that out there.
That make
Yeah, I'm just taking some notes here, making sure I have some follow-ups that I can bounce back.
Okay.
Yeah, so if we can know the community work better or others, I think another way to do this is that we can test the two device in your lab. So make sure that we can see the final result is definitely yes, is for the same one or the different ones. That's the best one, the best solution we can do that.
Okay.
Yeah.
And sorry to interrupt, guys. There you go.
So, may I know, do you have an expectation that the time frame that you like to have this kind of solution be implemented for your end?
Sorry, can you ask that question again?
Oh, sorry. I mean, so do you have a time frame for this solution to be implemented on your end? So expectation.
Yeah, yesterday. We're behind the 8 ball already. Okay.
Okay.
We only just started talking between the AV groups. Okay.
Okay.
We've known about teams for some time, but we really didn't know what direction they were going to tell us. In other words, they didn't really say, well, we're going to come in and rip every one of your Cisco devices out of the network. They didn't come in and say that. They have started talking with us, and we've gotten to the point where the discussion has been around compatibility, bridging. But more to the point is at the end of May, everyone on the network is moving to the Jefferson email Microsoft Exchange tenant. That means everyone is registered in Teams at that point.
Mm-hmm.
I'm going to have an environment at that point that is not one button to push or set up for calendaring or anything on the LVHN side. So I'm going to have to be, my team is going to have to assist just about everybody with getting connected, because we'll be able to connect them with CVI, but there's going to be these long strings that they have to type in from a SIP protocol perspective so they can get connected. That's going to be painful. So the sooner that we can get to a one button to push, kind of set up with existing devices and new devices, the better, right? So I don't know how fast we can, May is really by the end of May is really going to be, where we have to be on the fully on the Teams platform. I don't know that we're going to be fully ready to present a fully Teams compatible environment. So all I can say is we need it as fast as possible. Knowing that we have to work with security to get things approved. And I will say this, they're going to come back and say, well, why don't you do a Zoom room? They're fully approved, but then what do I do for the rest of my environment?
Got you.
So yeah.
Probably as a follow-up, would you recommend us to maybe start arranging demo gears while we are requesting security kind of the processes?
Yeah,
and then
I think yes.
In the selection of the demo gears, let's try the MVC S40 and the MVC A60 simultaneously. And then when that new camera came out, we talk about that later on, just considering the time being in here. Mic speaker wise, because the slide that I was sharing comes with no mics and speakers. The MVC A60 here specifically, it only gives you camera and the codec, Teams, right? It doesn't give you mics. Are we considering like the tabletop wireless mic that Sean was demonstrating, or possibly a ceiling mic as a preferred option?
Rocco, what do you think? What do you want to try?
Oh, geez. Well, we certainly want to try the bar solution, if we're looking at doing ceiling mics and ceiling speakers, well, then we need to figure out what space we're going to do to, get into the ceiling and connect all that stuff up. So
for demo purposes, you want to just start with the wireless microphones instead?
Yeah, I think that might be a good starting point. And then we can look at maybe once we run through that process, we figure out a room that, hey, this could be our first test room, and it's big enough that it deems a ceiling speaker and ceiling mics,
That work for you, Tyler?
Yep. Last questions. If we were to set up the demo environments, where would that be? Because I wanted to make sure that we have a local resources getting standby when devices arrive. You guys start unboxing. Either he can visit you guys on site with the training setup, or virtually for a training tool on how to set up devices, configure it, and stuff like that. If any location that this might be happening in Pennsylvania is in New Jersey, I just want to make sure that I understand where that might be happening.
So we have a VTC lab that we call our test room, where we have multiple conferencing systems, technologies installed. So we would probably put it in that room and just try it with that setup. How big is that room, Mike? About 14 by 20?
No. No, I think it's 16 by 20.
Okay.
If I recall.
Oh,
Close enough. Close enough.
What's a foot or two, right?
And Tyler, just to confirm, the location that Carlo and Michael are talking about is only about 5 miles from our facility in Allentown.
Oh,
So it's in Allentown, Pennsylvania.
Oh, understood. Okay. Perfect. All right, so let's start with the video bars, and then the PTZ with the wireless mic, and also a speaker bar, because otherwise you wouldn't have any speakers on top of it. So, but that way you won't have to like hang it on the ceiling. It's a little bit more flexible and agile. Okay, perfect. So let me, Andrew, if you don't mind, I will reach out to you just to confirm a couple of details, the building materials, and what makes sense for the group here for the proof of concepts. And then Carl and Michael, let us know when we need to respond to any upcoming security certifications, security questionnaires. But trust me, I'm very getting used to it. I can fill it out within days. But sometimes it can be a little.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah. So the one time Colwell throws me pages of security tasks, I promised him that I will get back within a day. But I apologize the second they didn't say, sorry, give me a week. So,
Yeah, no, I'm pretty sure you're gonna need the extra time. It's intense.
all right.
All right.
Thank you guys.
Okay.
I'm sorry that this is getting longer than expected, but I thought it was a great start. At least that we start exploring possibility in here. But I appreciate you guys spending some time, extra time than I planned here for the meeting. And I'll reach out to the CTI team just to confirm a little couple details. But hopefully we can get to support you guys soon, and we'll start with that proof of concept.
Sounds good. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody.
everyone.
Take care.
Thanks. Have a good
All right.
day.
Thank you guys.
ya.
Much
Good day.
appreciated.
Bye-bye.
老哥。